beautiful munchkins and viewers alike. It's me, Munchie, and welcome back to a good cage unboxing review. I don't know why I always do but I like it. Welcome on in, my name is Munchie and I am the owner of Munchie's Place for Homeless Pets, which is a small animal rescue, and I have a presence here on YouTube, which technically started first before the rescue. So welcome, you're actually here with me on this wonderful journey. Because I foster hamsters, gerbils, and mice, I review products that are suitable for them or not suitable for them due to misinformation online and from pet stores. But today is a very special cage unboxing. One of our supporters out there donated this cage. Now, the Pip Squeakery is one of the leading rescues here in the United States, and they actually worked alongside Kaytee to actually come out with appropriate care, or at least more appropriate than what we are used to with the Crittertrails, which technically this thing is a Crittertrail, but let me explain further. They wanted Kaytee to understand that they don't need connectable cages that are tiny, small, and inadequate for things to add like wheels, larger hides, because some of the animals that were supposedly going into very tiny cages were hamsters with so much energy, and there was some larger hamsters like the Syrian hamsters that absolutely needed bigger hides, bigger wheels, etc., just because they were getting stuck in the tubes and problems started to arise. So Kaytee came up with a solution. So I have to say, congratulations, Kaytee. You did it. You actually listened. Now I really wish that like people like PetSmart would actually listen to us, or Oxbow, which didn't listen to us first, pushed out a cage, and then retracted that cage and said, hey, we're listening, we're gonna push out this statement here. But Kaytee at least sat down with hamster experts or hobbyists out there, and they discussed what is appropriate. So this cage is actually being okayed here in the United States because, as it says here, it is 540 square inches. However, people have measured it at like 520, but it is above the square inch minimum in the United States. Now, before we jump into, well, why is it 450 here and maybe somewhere else it's not? In the United Kingdom, they actually see the bare minimum as 620 square inches because they have better care in the United Kingdom, but it all depends on the laws and whatever is being sold in the pet market near them. And not everybody out there has the ability to make and craft their own enclosures. So enclosures that already come pre-made is what people usually gravitate towards. So let's open this up right now and talk more about this. Now, on the box here, it actually says it's for hamsters, which has a Syrian on it, gerbils, which we're just gonna stop you right now, and Kaytee, I can't believe you're doing this still, but just hear me out. Gerbils are massive chewers, and they have very powerful incisors, and they will chew through plastic. It may take a little bit of time, depending if your gerbil is exhibiting any sort of stress behaviors or natural behaviors, but a gerbil can chew through this hard plastic here, especially since this plastic can shatter and break very easy. But unfortunately, gerbils should not be in plastic enclosures. People will tell you put them in tanks because they need 8 to 9 inches or more of bedding. They are burrow animals, more so than hamsters. They actually spend the majority of their time underground rather than up above foraging. Yes, they are forage animals, but they have a colony underground that they rely heavily on. Make sure, guys, gerbils not in this, in tanks. And mice can comfortably fit inside of here. Also, I do want to note, I'm threatening you with scissors. I'm sorry, but if anybody has seen this enclosure inside of their pet stores, please leave me a comment down below as to which pet store and where, just because this can only be found right now online. I have not seen it in any big chain pet stores, nor have I seen it in mom and pop pet stores, which I'm very disappointed with. When it first came out, it was $129, which was way overpriced and was actually much smaller than the preview 528 cage. It's pretty hefty of a price, but it was a new item. And now it's ranging around $89, $99 online, and I think right now it is about $100. Haven't checked recently. But thank you to the supporter who actually got us this. I was eventually going to purchase this, just had to buy a air purifier cartridge refill, which cost me $99. Yeah, we got the IQ air purifier for the pet room, just so that the animals in there can breathe happily and everything is a-okay, because health matters and they come first, at least above me. All right, this is what it looks like right out of the box, which is actually very nice considering that sometimes when I see these, they don't have this packaging on them. So I'm glad I have scissors right here to cut it open. It fits the table so nicely here. And this right here is the coffee table that I am using just so I can display this for you guys in a very nice and clean manner. So let's take a look at the plastic. Now, some of you guys have said, thank you for tapping on the plastic to demonstrate what type of material it is. It is very fragile plastic. It can easily crack, but oh my gosh, this is actually different plastic. It's rubbery. Do you see me bending this? I mean, as you can hear me ASMR tapping here, it still sounds pretty hard. It doesn't feel cheaper. It's not stiff, but it is really rubbery. Is that better? That might actually be better. I'm not entirely sure. I actually thought it was the same material, but it's not. Let me see if the base is. The base might actually be the stiffer material. Oh no, it's bendable too. Oh, this is so interesting to me. Oh, it's bendable, but at the very bottom, I don't know if you guys can see very clearly, but I'll try my best. Oh, actually you can see the reflection right here. This is a different, more abrasive material. Yeah, let me scratch it for you. So it's different material. I like that. Thank you, Kaytee. So this bottom, oh no, I made scratch marks. I actually made my own fingernail scratch marks in this. Oh, can you go away? Can you go away? Did I seriously just scratch the bottom? Oh my God. No problem. The hamsters are probably gonna actually try digging in this and it's all gonna get scratched up. But this is at least good to note that, yeah, the bottom might look terrible in the future, but at least they have that thin layer. You can kind of see where it starts over here, like on the lip, like right here. I wanna say it's an inch above. So that means that you're not gonna get as much scratches, which possibly this type of roughness on the surface will make it last a lot longer. I think that's what they were going for there, which is very interesting. So thank you, Kaytee, so much for considering that, because this type of pan is not in any of their other designs, their smaller designs, which I really wish they would get rid of. Kaytee, what are you doing? Now, I don't like using ledges just because I have some really big hides and ledges. They kind of come with cages, defeats the purpose of me just customizing it the way I want to. But it's there for people who absolutely want to. And in this demonstration, I'll put the ledge where it's supposed to be. But this is the little ledge here. You may be able to easily put a wheel on the top part depending on how high or low you put it inside the cage. But this cage does have, I want to say, limited places to put ledges and layers and stuff like that versus a traditional cage, because as you see here, the wires are actually a lot thinner than what you would see for, say, a traditional cage where you have one pan and the top is wire and that's it. This is pan, wire, top plastic. So it's a little different, less ventilation, but still somewhat of a traditional wire cage. But anyways, this is an 8.2-inch wheel, which I would consider a dwarf wheel. And then this boy here would be a Syrian, which actually, it looks like it fits a Syrian wheel. Does it have room? Yes, it does. So this is a 10-inch Carolina storm wheel, which is highly recommended out there on Etsy. And we have the ramp right here, which is very wavy for some reason, but I guess maybe that could be a good thing. But I feel like just because I've heard some people say that their dwarf hamsters have trouble getting up here, it may or may not be good. I don't know. Haven't tried it yet. But now it's time for assembling. And of course, I don't need to read the instructions because I know how to assemble a cage, especially the Kaytee cages. And this is definitely not getting returned, so I can do whatever I want with it. Woohoo! Oh my gosh, it smells so bad. So let's talk about the material of the wire here, just because Kaytee is known for having mediocre to okay wiring. It's a lot better than some of the very cheap wires, and some of their sets, like some of the sets that I have, they have very sturdy wires, but they rust very easily, especially if a hamster chewed on part of the bars, exposing them. This right here, I will have to say, might be a downgrade to their traditional wires, just because it feels a lot more flimsy, but it still is strong. See, this is the weird part where I'm like trying to figure out what grade this metal is. Now, metal grade, depending on if it's high or low, could be of lesser quality and easier to break, or better quality, which is harder to break. I don't want to bend it too much because I'm afraid that I might not be able to bend it back, but like I'm putting some pressure on it. And yes, some of the wires do bend, but they actually still retain their shape very well. Moving them back, and they're just going back into place with slight bondage. Bondage. And it actually looks like the top is the only way to be able to access your small animal. This is it right here, which is actually really big. And I like that because you have a way of getting your hamster out. And I really wish Kaytee implemented this more in their cages. Over the years they have with their smaller cages, but it's cool to see this with their big cage. However, I do like the front opening, but I understand their design doesn't really call for it because there's very small wire spacing. And the wire spacing might be small too, just because hamsters tend to chew a lot, especially when they're bored, or if you're a female Syrian hamster that's young and in heat. Many people don't understand that, so wire enclosures might actually not be good for female Syrian hamsters, but male Syrian hamsters seem to do very well in these types of environments. So that could also be another reason why Kaytee didn't want to provide a whole lot of wires and decided this design instead. But this is how it opens, and that opened very easy. I like that. Uh-oh, is it not going back? Oh, this is a little weird. Like when I put it down, it actually slightly goes over to the left and is not lining up. Let me show you, right there. You can see it right here, it's not lining up. So you kind of have to move it over. I don't like that. That makes me a little nervous that I could accidentally break this. But like I said before, the top and the bottom are of different plastic and they're rubbery. Ah, it's so weird. So let me just try putting this latch back on, which actually it's not lining up very well. What the? Do I like that? No, I don't like that. It is not lining up very well in the latch. Design flaw. Yeah, it's not lining up. Oh, this might be a problem. Kaytee's been known to have some issues with hamsters escaping and stuff. I wouldn't think that they'd be able to climb to the very top unless they're actually on top of, like, say, a hide that's in the middle here and might push it open. But it's not latching properly down here. Right there. It's just not, you know, that's a flaw, but that's like a very expensive flaw. I don't like that. So let's put this baby together. I do like the blue though. The blue is very nice, but I wish it was purple. Uh-oh, that one bent. Do you see this? I don't know if you can see that, but I just bent this one right here. Ooh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Oh no, it came apart. So I'm doing it like this and connecting like that. That looks good, but then the other side's gonna break it apart. Dang it. Oh, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. I said don't do that. When I say don't do that, I mean it! Don't do that. There we go. Crisscross applesauce. It is completed on both sides. I gotta get these lined up before I stick the sides into the holes, otherwise it becomes a problem if they would just be inside the lip. This is a very bendy material, so it is giving me grief, and I don't like it. Stop getting outside the lip. Okay, is everybody in the lip? No, they're not. Get in the lip, get in the lip, lip. Now push down, and push down until it locks in place or locks me in place. Goodness, we gotta stick this on. This only sits on top of the wire when you put it into place here. As you can see, it hooks right here. This I don't necessarily like when it comes to ledges like this, because this, if it's not a good material and the material is flimsy, which this one feels pretty sturdy, sometimes the little hooks right here break. But this is really sturdy, so I don't think it's gonna happen, but you never know. So we're gonna stick it to this side here, just because this side actually has the hole right there. How high do I want this? I'm probably gonna put it pretty low then, just so that I can have some room up here if we can actually stick in a wheel up here. I'm doing this wrong. No. This side, because we want the hooks to be here and over here facing the wire. Got it on that one. Got it on that one. There, okay. And I heard it click too, so that's wonderful. All right, it's working. I like it. Next, I want to put this one on. Now this one, when you see it, it comes with something you have to break and pop out. Don't worry, you're not breaking it, because what you're gonna actually be ending up doing is sticking this stopper on here. You don't wanna leave this like this because they could easily chew through it, because hamsters, if there is a gap, they can get their incisors around it to chew it up and just chew it in a circular motion. So never, ever, ever leave gaps anywhere. If you're making bin cages and you poke a bunch of holes, they can chew that hole up, so don't you dare. Make sure you actually get mesh for your bin cages if you do that. But it looks like this is supposed to hang onto the wire. The ones where it clips are actually on this side. Yep, I had it right the first time. All right, hook's right there. Stays in place there. Kind of have to push it down so these can hook up to this wire here. And it's supposed to stay in place like that. It does, however, kind of move around, but it's not bad. And then just put this on the outer rim, like so. Look at this, it's kind of coming off now. I don't like that. Oh, no, 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 no. Hook and snap. All right, that might be a problem. Ooh, I wonder if hamsters can just start chewing the plastic part, the rim right here, to escape. I will just have to wait and test it and see, and then do an updated review in time, because I could put mice and hamsters in here to test this out. But yeah, that's how that goes. And next, let's put on this. And we can clip it anywhere too, but it looks like this part's the bottom where it goes zigzag back and forth. And then this one actually has what looks like a ladder. That is what you want as the surface, because it has better grip. Be mindful if you have a hamster that likes to chew, to watch this, just because I feel like this could easily be chewed. And I don't know if you can replace the ladder here. Right now, it doesn't want to clip for me. Oh, there, it clipped. Never mind, I lie. You just kind of have to press hard, but yeah, there we go. Oh my gosh, look at that. I have it almost completely set up. These are gonna clamp together right here to keep it in place, which is a good idea. This right here also keeps more support up so that the top doesn't collapse. I do like that, but it is kind of flimsy, like I previously stated before. But let's just put this on and see if we can latch them together. All right, got it on that one. Ooh, ow, ow, ow. It wouldn't be a video if I didn't hurt myself somehow. I pinched myself. All right, so I feel like these aren't fully in on this side. Oh, there it goes. I was gonna say it doesn't feel like it's fully on. So that's clipped, that's clipped. The only thing that needs clipping now is the back and the front. So right here on the lid, there is some more latches that you have to align this with the wire down below to make it secure. I feel like it's right, but maybe it's not, who knows? All right, this side now. Does that look right? All right, I did it. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. It is completely put together now. This was one of the easier enclosures to put together. I wouldn't say it's as easy as a preview. I've pretty much got that assembly and disassembly down. But the materials make it hard in some areas to put it on and take it off. But the main concern I have right now is just the opening and closing is not lining up, and as you can see, it's kind of bobbing right here. It's because it's going over to the right. But I noticed here too with this that it can rotate either to the left or to the right. It's very loose, it's not very sturdy. Of course, when it falls down, it overlaps the plastic here, which is not what its intended purpose is. And as I'm going to try to latch it, it's actually being a little difficult with me. So I'm trying to make everything line up, but it actually looks like no matter what, if I put it a little bit over here or a little bit over there, it's overlaying the plastic, and now it's actually not wanting to latch, which I'm actually a little bit nervous about now, because if this don't want to latch, then how am I supposed to use it? Every time I do that, I hate myself, because it's not going through. Like, let me show you. I'm having a hard time to try to secure this in the middle here. It's just the plastic's so flimsy, the top is so flimsy. All right, I got it to latch. But the thing is, it's overlapping again over here. It has to be the cut. It has to be the cut of the plastic itself, but you can see right here it's overlapping. I don't like that. It's not clean, but But then again, when I compare this cage to, say for instance, the preview cage, it does have some flaws of its own that regards the wiring. Sometimes the wiring is not very sturdy and it can be kind of flimsy, kind of like this. So this actually looks pretty good. It looks nice, it looks appealing, and it'll look appealing to all ages. And that is something that a lot of people tend to miss the point of, is that hamsters, gerbils, and mice are not just for children. They are a companion animal, and companion animals are for everybody. It's good to have neutral colors, and it's good to not just only appeal to kids. Because this looks very nice. It is very large on the inside. I can put multiple heights in here, which is exciting and what I was going for. But as I'm seeing over here, even on the smallest ledge, I cannot put a wheel right here. So the wheel would actually need to go somewhere else. And I'm a little bit worried about that. Now that I stuck the ledge in the center here, I'm probably gonna have to put it off to the side or something to actually get a big wheel in here. At my rescue, our requirements are a little bit different from that of the US minimum. So dwarfs are required at least 450 square inches, but Syrians 600 square inches. Unfortunately, at my rescue, I wouldn't really put a Syrian inside of here because I feel like they need a whole lot more, like 40-gallon breeders, 50-gallon Sterilite bin cages, or the Preview 528 cage, which is around 605 to 612 square inches after measuring it. But here, they state it's 540 square inches, so I could fit a stunted Syrian inside of here, a Syrian pup, which are very young and they're very small when they start out, or mainly I can put mice and dwarfs in here because this is a really great and suitable enclosure for that. And the pan depth is actually quite large, so let's measure it right now with my handy dandy ruler here. So the pan depth does matter to burrow animals, which all three of these species listed on the box, including gerbils, need bedding. They really do. Don't provide thin layers of bedding. It looks like this is exactly at 6 inches of pan depth. However, you don't want to put 6 inches at the very top because then it's going to flow over the sides. You could do that, or you could just put a high and a low section. That's completely fine as long as they have enough bedding to be able to pile it up themselves and to create their own burrows or nesting areas. That's very important. 3 inches is the bare minimum for mice and for hamsters, depending on the species and depending on the size of the animal too, because bedding is there to provide nesting and to provide a place to burrow, so they should be able to enclose themselves in nothing but bedding. 5 to 6 inches is recommended for a Syrian hamster or just a hamster in general. Now to measure exactly how large this is, you got to measure the pan, not the top. So you want to do the pan, aim for the middle, just because sometimes enclosures will curve at the pan. They'll do like this V shape rather than just be a solid straight line. So let's measure it now. And because these sides curve, I'm gonna try the best of my ability what I see and record it to you guys. It looks like this is 28 by, I wanna say 16 and a half, 28 by 16 and a half. That's 462 square inches. That is a really big drop from 540 square inches. That's very odd. Did I measure that right? Oh, it looks so big though. That's the thing. Like, it doesn't look like it's near my 450 square inch Sterilite bin cage, but it might just be the height. Yeah, well, of course it has to be the height because I think the Sterilite bin cage with the purple handles, I believe that is only a height of like 11, 12, or 13 inches. This definitely has a different height. Now let's talk about the height because height definitely does matter, especially for Syrians, because bigger hides and wheels means higher vertical space so that you can actually fit those things inside of there. Now it looks like it is roughly around, if I go to the very top, 13 and a half. So it's 13 and a half inches tall, which is the exact same height of my supposed bin cages. It definitely looks a lot bigger, but I think it's maybe just because of the way it curves. Huh, that is so weird. Let me just go demonstrate my bin cage. One moment here, let's compare. Let's compare these cages because we're talking about a great cage here that could still be used, but maybe, is it even worth it if you can make a bin cage? Let's find out. Wow, I'm actually kind of shocked. Look at this right here. So this is the Target bin cage I was talking to you guys about with the purple handles. It's about 450 square inches. And on the other side here, it's hanging off. It's the same width. It's possibly like a little bit, maybe by like about an inch or maybe like a couple of centimeters, just a little bit off here, but on the, what? The camera's falling. But on the other side, it's hanging off because right now I'm sharing with you guys Starfire and Raven's enclosure. Yes, these are my foster fail mice because they have tumors and they have medical needs, so we had to keep them rather than rehome them to somebody. But it is hanging off the side here. And this is roughly around the same size as this $100 freaking enclosure, which is insane. And you can actually in here pile the bedding up pretty high. Now the thing that we gotta remember too is that if we're going to put wheels in here like I did down here, I don't know if you can see the stuff's in here now, but if you're gonna have wheels, if you're gonna have bedding that's really high, you gotta make sure your wheel doesn't touch the very top. That's why when it comes to Syrian hamsters, you really gotta go very tall, but also very long too, so that they can comfortably fit their wheel inside of there. And right now I have the 10-inch Carolina storm wheel in here, but unfortunately if I pile bedding in here, that wheel is actually gonna touch the very top of the cage, and I don't like that. That actually is kind of scary because that means I'm not gonna be able to pile up the bedding. Otherwise I have to do a low section and a high section, which you guys know how good that is because sometimes hamsters or mice like to push their bedding to one side. Well, typically hamsters. Mice, not so much. They do like to put stuff in certain places that they're nesting in, take it to another corner, but they don't do it as often as hamsters, especially Syrian. As you can see right here, we got, who are you? You are Starfire. Starfire is coming out to say hi to you guys. Now, the other thing too that is also a benefit of this cage is that yes, you do have top wire, but it's very limited to where you put hanging items. Like this right here, we got 2 hanging items inside this enclosure here, the hammock, and then this little ledge here. And in here you can do that as well. You can definitely hang some bendy bridges from the bars here, which you can't really do inside of here. And the reason why it's only DIY on top, which I will share with you guys because this is my DIY bin cage. Sorry, Starfire. Where is Raven? Raven's probably hiding. But this right here is what I made with zip ties and then hard wire. This right here is just perfect as is. You don't really have to create more ventilation, but if you want to, just be aware you're gonna have the bedding being kicked out the sides. That's why I don't like using the only bin that has the side mesh, because these guys, oh, they kick up a lot of bedding, and when they climb on it, they like to poo-poo, and the poo-poo falls on the floor with the bedding, and they're like, please step in the poo-poo, Munchie, because we like poo-poo. They like to mark their territories, that's why they do it. But anyways, you can see the comparison to a $16.99 bin cage with $5 mesh that I bought in a coil, and then zip ties, which were also around $5. So technically this is like such a good deal compared to this right here. So let me show you what I'm talking about here when it comes to these items. As you can see right here, it's a little bit more difficult to actually see inside of here versus the bin cage. But that does come with any sort of wire territory. If you buy a wire cage, even though you can kind of see it, the bars do tend to get in the way. But I've opened it up here and I have one of the climbing toys right here for Syrians. All this is Syrian, by the way, because you can easily stick dwarf hides and stuff inside of here, more so than you can a Syrian. But I do see people use this a lot for Syrians. So let me just show you the Syrian care. We got an appropriate bendy bridge that is suitable for them. We got a very large hide, which is actually, this is deemed as guinea pig hide, which, you know, at PetSmart, it's not a guinea pig hide. This is tiny, and that entrance is tiny. You can fit a Syrian inside of here. So it's a large enough Syrian hide that takes up a lot of width, as you can see me trying to put it back in. That's another thing. Even though you do have this space here, moving stuff around inside of here is actually kind of difficult. When I was putting in the wheel and then putting everything else in, it was kind of annoying versus like the preview cage. Even though it is a very big area, it's just, you got this lip here that I can't really open and work with. And I can't open this here to get a better angle because it's all right here. But anyways, you got the wheel right here. And like I was saying earlier, if we were to actually put bedding inside of here, this bucket will be up here. I can't put more than what looks like possibly 2-3 inches of bedding in here without it hitting the very top. So again, you would have to do a separation thing where low side and high side. And that's what I typically will do inside enclosures, which some people will comment on, Munchie, that's not enough bedding. And I'm like, but it is on one side. I'm Homer Simpson's wife. Anyways, but yeah, that is basically it. You just gotta be mindful of that 10-inch wheel. And Syrians really shouldn't have 9-inch wheels unless they are smaller or stunted or young. But in this case, I take care of any age range, and they typically would need a bucket wheel like this, even though this is technically a good cage still, and it is above, but barely, the bare inch minimum in the United States. there is a better option out there that's also a good cage. So this is okay. This is decent for a good cage. It isn't something that I'm just gonna go throw all my money at, because let me show you something even better. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is the Preview 528, where you can put in a sand dish, a large hide, ledges right here, which of course you can put in here, but of course it feels so cluttered, as you can see. The height is much larger. 6-inch pan, just like this one right here, but the bars are everywhere up top here for better ventilation and customization. So you can put like a lot of things in here versus this, where you can see just by me moving it to like the side, actually let me move it back too, you can see there's a much bigger gap here. It's much longer on this side, and when it comes to the width, it's much longer this way. But you can put anything in here, and you can pile the bedding pretty high. The reason why it's not that high inside of here for demonstration purposes today, showing you, casing you, this, that, it's 3 inches in here, but it is in here because I'm expecting some baby Syrian hamsters, and they actually go to the bathroom quite often. So what I'm actually typically doing is putting 3 inches of bedding in, and every couple weeks I'll do a deep clean, just because with Syrian pups, they go more frequently. So I shouldn't be waiting, like say for instance, a month to deep clean this. Now there's gonna be only one inside of here, just because they should be at least a little bit bigger by now, but it's an accidental litter, so they could actually be very tiny or very big depending on the genetics. But I don't know what to expect. I don't know the size of them. So this is typically it right here, but this can have 6 inches of bedding that spews over, but usually you want to put 5 inches of bedding in here, and it completely submerges Syrians. I know lots of people are like, it doesn't actually completely submerge them. You need much more than that, Munchie. Carlos is in a 528, and he is always submerged, and it... I have trouble finding him when I first got him because he didn't really want to come out when I called him, but now he comes out when I call him, and he's always there to greet me during feeding time and interaction time, which is amazing. But in the beginning, he was submerged. Let me tell you that it was just like trying to go in there and finding a poor hammy, and I feel like I'm a predator, like a snake, trying to get him, and I'm not trying to, but he submerged himself pretty well in that bedding when I put it right up to the very top. Oh, and he loves it. But you could definitely go much more, like 8 to 9 inches or more inside of a tank. But remember guys, the wheel, depending on what wheel style and size, you may be able to put too much bedding in and not be able to fit in the wheel. So you got to keep that into consideration here. When it comes to this is like $100 or possibly more, depending on if it's on sale or not, or if it's third-party sellers, or actually Kaytee has it in stock, or the Preview, which typically is $80, but actually back in the day when I first got my very first Preview, it was as low as $46. And the average was about 50 to 60. So it's actually 80 right here. So 80 versus about 100. Which one do you want? Also, this one did come with a ledge, but I take it out, like I say before, because if you have hides like that in there, they go sky high. And it's better to have that in there so they can climb different textures while also be able to chew that. So you're replacing plastic ledge for something that they can still climb on and is chewable to them. Yeah, and you can add a sand dish in here. I bet you I couldn't add a sand dish in there, but I can in here. And it's a small sand dish. So my bottom verdict for the Kaytee Crittertrail is that it's a good mouse and dwarf cage. It is. But for the price tag, just make a DIY bin cage. I mean, I told you guys what I bought and I showed you it, so might as well just make a bin cage and use that rather than pay $100. But the good part about this is that if you don't want to look cheap, like a lot of people complain about for bin cages, you could at least get this. But you probably should get this instead of this. So thank you guys for watching today's video. If you did like it, it was lengthy, but I hope you enjoyed it. So hit like to show support. Comment down below with anything you would like to say. And of course, if you use these 2 cages, please let me know your thoughts and opinions on them. And subscribe if you like to be a part of the Munchkin experience and following along my rescue and seeing more stuff like this. Just thanks for everything, guys. I really appreciate it. And thank you for sticking put to the very end. Because, you know, you like to see my face for some reason. Just like me talking, and I'm gonna keep talking. Blah, 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 blah.